Hi, everybody. I'm Fran Spielman, and we have double our pleasure today. Dorothy Brown, Amara, Enyia, the new tag team. How did this come about?
Very interesting. I had an opportunity to sit down with many candidates, and of course, you know, Fran, I've been on the panel with a lot of them, even right here at the Sun-Times, and just listening to Amara, I just realized that she was the best candidate to take the city forward. She's an independent, she's not controlled by the machine. She has a heart for the people, and she's obviously well qualified with the 5 degrees. And
more degrees than you even.
Absolutely, and she's a public policy expert. Housing, economic development, community development, food security, the environment, you name it, she's done it. And I just feel that she's a wonderful candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago.
There's a torch in your hand. You're passing it seems.
You know, it comes a time when I had people that mentored me and pulled me along, and it comes a time when we really have to do that. That's what it's all about, mentoring, and I'm going to be a key advisor to Amara to make sure that she has every tool that she needs to make this city great.
Is Chance the Rapper on your iPod or iPhone? Doesn't he have to be?
I do have an iPhone, but I don't have an iPod.
Okay, no Chance.
But Chance is not on my iPod. See, that's
you better be.
That's the interesting thing, Fran. That's the allure of an Amara, Dr. Amara Enyia's endorsement to have a Chance the Rapper, that generation, and a Dorothy Brown on this generation, and my pull from the senior community, etc. That works very well. That intergenerational, that's something we have never seen. It's really historic.
Definitely. Amara, what have you asked Dorothy to do? What do you want her to do?
Well, Dorothy has, again, we spent so much time in these forums and panels, and she has always, throughout her career, been an independent. She's always talked about the city, having a heart for the city and really changing the direction of the city, and how she did beat the machine. And a lot of what people are saying across the city is that they are tired of the establishment, they are tired of the machine, they want a different direction for the city. I think she represents, again, we were just talking about the need for intergenerational unity, and this is a key moment for that. With Chance on one side, and he was excited about Clerk Brown's endorsement as well, and Clerk Brown on the other. It's a very strong message about how the city can come together, how communities can come together, how even the Black community can come together to really push the city forward.
Now, one of the reasons she beat the machine is because she had to, because they dumped her because of the scandal.
But
job
remember,
and promotion selling in her office.
But guess
Doesn't
what,
that
Fran?
worry you a little bit?
I beat them in 2000 when there was no scandal.
Okay, but there is a scandal, and
Yeah.
there's this cloud that has hung over your head for literally years. Doesn't that trouble you at all?
Well, we've talked very plainly about the investigation. We both support law enforcement. We support the process. And we've said very clearly, I know I've said it very clearly, that whatever investigation should continue until the process is done. And we respect that.
Right, but aren't you worried that at some point maybe she might be charged? We already have one person in her office who's been charged.
What we know in the immediate is that the city needs new leadership, and we have to have a candidate that represents the voice of the people, that is interested in moving the city away from the establishment politics that have gotten us to where we are. That's what we know in the immediate. And Clerk Brown has said very clearly that of all of the other candidates, our campaign is the only one that represents the direction that the city must move in. And so we're committed to rallying around that cause, which is that's the cause of the moment.
Now, both of you have said that you're more worried about the candidates in the race, labeled as frontrunners, who have existing ties to the scandal that we see unfolding right now, which is probably the biggest thing that we're ever going to see corruption-wise in this town that has had so many scandals we can't even count them. Let's talk about the ties that you see between Tony Preckwinkle and Burke, Solis, Madigan, etc. Let's go ahead. You start, Dorothy.
You know, it's very disturbing, but it's nothing that we have not known for years. Everyone knows it. It's the worst kept secret in town as it relates to what happens with contracts, developers, and that sort of thing, and City Hall, and not just Alderman Ed Burke, but that zoning as it relates to various aldermen. I mean, even when I was campaigning, people were telling me that I need my permit, so I have to support who my alderman tells me to support. It's time for a change from that. People should not be constrained and tied to that kind of politics.
Well, let's talk specifically about Preckwinkle. She got a $10,000 campaign contribution muscled for her, allegedly, by Ed Burke from the Burger King franchise owner. She hired his son, even though he was under investigation at the sheriff's office. She had a fundraiser at his house. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so again, it is a culture of corruption and a culture that's been allowed to exist, especially at the city level. So I work in the business community. A lot of my expertise is in the business community. And when we talk about what business owners have to go through where they do feel that they are shaken down for endorsements, that is a part of that culture of corruption that we're talking about. And it's been tacitly accepted by individuals who have been in office. Pay to play politics is clearly on display in this instance with hiring of a family member in place of or for support. That's been rampant. And what strikes me as disingenuous is all of this is known. We knew that the functions of the workers' compensation program should not have been under the control of an alderman. We knew that there are so many administrative functions that are held legislatively that actually need to be moved into executive departments within City Hall. That did not happen for years. And yet many of the establishment candidates tacitly accepted business as usual. And so it's disingenuous to now distance yourself from those practices only because it became politically toxic.
But Tony Preckwinkle has said, I'm giving back his money, and I'll give back the money that I raised at his house, and I didn't know about the personnel investigation of his son. What do you buy that?
Well, I do not buy that because Tony Preckwinkle is always apologizing and giving back things. That has been her history. She's either firing people, like her chief of security, who was home in bed and she was a committeeman. He had no reason to have political literature in the county truck, which she also used to go to political events and changes the license plate so that it looks like a private vehicle, which is also disingenuous. And you know, the people whose lives Tony has ruined, that I know personally, is just really disingenuous as well. So that is not the kind of heart.
Who?
Well, people in my office that had to lay off. John Strozier made sure no one got laid off. Todd Strozier even made sure that no one got laid off. When Tony Preckwinkle took office, I had to lay off over 60 people because she would not let us balance that budget in any other way than to see blood. And that meant to actually lay people off. I thought that was horrible, and I still think it's horrible. And even in the health insurance that she took away from the judges, and some of them had family members that had sicknesses. It was just that kind of heart that I have a problem with. We do not need that here in the city of Chicago.
Now, what do you say about her claims about the $10,000? She didn't know about it. She's giving it back. The fundraiser at his house, the conversation she had about his son. He wanted a job. She got it. What do you see about that?
Well, she's been in office for quite some time. Even beyond just accepting money that was raised, there was the capacity to call out just the overall corruption. There was the capacity to call for a lot of the changes that took place in an emergency after Alderman Burke was charged. There were opportunities to call out these things prior to election time that never took place. And so again, this shows that there was a tacit acceptance of business as usual while in that office. In fact, there were other opportunities, such as calling out former assessor Joe Barrios for the property tax system that unduly hurt lower income and Black and brown communities. Instead, she supported him strongly and vehemently. So these are things that show judgment along the course before election time. So again, it's disingenuous to now